I started a Minecraft 1.21 survival series. Nothing too special in that, but this one has some challenges that you've never seen before that I have to overcome. There are loads of new structures, some of which are scary or are trying to kill me a lot. Plus, last episode I found out that mining doesn't work. Cobblestone is totally off limits. Plus, I can't craft sticks and leaves don't drop them either. Plus, the drops from mobs are all messed up. Zombies, which are mostly baby zombies by the way, drop stone, which it can't mine. Skeletons drop iron ore, and the passive mobs drop mostly sticks, so at least that's the stick problem sorted. Goodness only knows what else. The passive mobs also give me weird effects, like levitation or mining fatigue. Not that I can mine anything, because I've got no sticks. Plus, the pigs, they're poisonous. I guess I have to approach this Minecraft survival world in a very different way. Let's crack on. This is Avolaria. It's another Avolaria episode, and we are starting exactly where we left off last episode. It is the beginning of the 4th day, and I've just about made myself a wooden pickaxe because we worked out how to get sticks in the last episode. And if you've not seen the last episode, do go and take a look. The link is in the description below. I promise it will be worth it. It will make sense if you do. Because frankly, dear viewer, this ain't normal. I'm mining out cobblestone, and it's dropping... Yeah, rotten flesh. You see it right, rotten flesh. I cannot get cobblestone. Not for love nor money. Look, I can get mossy cobblestone, but I can't get cobblestone. Mossy cobblestone drops just absolutely fine. Cobblestone, not so much. Rotten flesh. And if I do stone, I also get rotten flesh. However, this could be beneficial because if I can get a village that has got a church, and guess what? My home village has got a church, then maybe, just maybe, I can get some rotten flesh trading going on and get myself some emeralds and kit myself out, because I think that might be the only way I'm going to win this game. So I'm going to dismantle the village. So I started to hack away at those poor villagers' homes with absolutely no mercy or remorse. If I was going to trade rotten flesh, I needed this cobble mined out. This is going to take ages because all I had to work with was this wooden pick, and they are not the best. Maybe I could use the mossy cobble to speed up my progress. Except I can't make a pick out of mossy cobblestone because mossy cobblestone doesn't make tools. Well, that's that idea flustered. I'm dismantling the village anyway, partly out of spite and partly because I do want this rotten flesh for the trades. And I figured I might as well take the wood as well. I hate the idea of leaving that skeletal remain of a village behind, so I'll take the whole house when I chop it. Unfortunately, I wasn't looking around when I was doing it and I got zombied. They pack a real punch. Life 1, done. Roll on life 2. I'm glad it's not hardcore. Can you hear that zombie outside burning in the sun? Shame. Fortunately, I'd set my spawn right next to where I was doing house removals on a random bed, but the Eddie Munsters has hidden out of the sun waiting for me. There was even a little diddy zombie villager there to give me a hard time. Do zombie villagers have more hearts normally? This one took forever to die. I also found a chicken and I realised I hadn't checked them out yet. They gave me the speed effect, which could be useful or potentially quite annoying. However, the drops seem to be normal. I'll keep testing it. I decided to leave some of the village there, not dismantle it all, and go back home. And I did a bit of ore smelting that the skellies had dropped. That's a really weird statement. However, I needed to find my cleric villager. I needed to trade up all of that rotten flesh, but there was no one in the church, and that's where the brewing stand is, so I had to go searching for him. But I couldn't find him anywhere, so I began to think maybe he'd got zombied like I had whilst I was away. But I have a cunning plan. I found myself a random villager with no profession. This was going to be my cleric. I popped down a boat and he hopped right in, and after a little bit of block suffocation, which we won't talk about for both me and the villager, I steered the boat and him out of the house and onto the path outside. Now, the challenge was getting him down the road. Path blocks are slightly lower than dirt blocks and grass blocks, so I had to poke out the random dirt blocks in the path to get my boat all the way up the street to the church, which was where I was going to create my lovely cleric. I got my villager all the way to the doors of the church, got out and released him from the boat. Turns out he didn't want to join the clergy, but he did love the cauldrons next door though. So I took out all of the cauldrons, at least for now, and watched as my new best friend walked straight out of the leatherworker's house and into the church. Apparently, he'd had a change of faith and he was all about brewing stands now. So I closed the door behind him so we could be alone, and I got trading. It was only a few emeralds for an hour, but it was a start. I figured I needed better tools, and now I had the iron, I could make a pick to get more rotten flesh for more emeralds through trading. I also figured that my stick stash wasn't going to last forever, so I better get cracking with breeding up more stick cows. Ladders would be economy crippling if I wasn't careful. And with that, it was time to get a load more flesh, so I rode straight across the lake into the hills because I saw a lot of bare stone walls there. It could be an indirect emerald farm, and I wanted to test drive my new iron pick. However, I came face to face with a very large cave, which I was totally ill-equipped to take on, I think. So I went in anyway. Why not? In for a penny, in for a pound and all that, and I started knocking 7 bells out of the walls. I did figure it'd probably be sensible to throw down a few torches, however, as I hadn't come face to face with a creeper yet in this world. Goodness only knows what they were going to drop. And they had a bit of a habit of sneaking up on me. If I couldn't hear a baby zombie coming, I definitely wasn't going to hear a creeper. I also checked out the copper, and it still drops actual copper ore, which makes a bit of a change. What about the coal? And no, that drops string, which of course, if you think about it, makes perfect sense in a weird kind of way. The spiders are dropping coal, so why didn't the coal be dropping string? Totally logical, right? Well, to a cookie. When night came, that creeper famine was addressed. One started sauntering towards me as I got back to the village. I wanted a bit of space to fight it though, and I wanted to try and end it rather than blow it up, so I needed a bit of room. Unfortunately, I did get too close, and I noticed that when it blew up there were a lot of particle effects, but no drop. I wonder if they didn't drop anything at all, or perhaps I just need to finish it properly, in the same way that they only drop gunpowder when they're unalived outright. It had left a big hole in my town, which was annoying, so I'd have to fix that later, but I got approached by an Eddie Munster before I got the chance, which would undoubtedly mean I'd forget until much later on. And then, something weird happened. As I was bashing the Eddie, I remembered that I'd made myself a lousy wooden sword, so I thought I'd switch to that. When I did and the drops came, it was cobblestone, not stone. Cobble. It wasn't as simple as I thought. Did I get a different drop with different tools? I also noticed that I had the resistance effect. I wonder if that's what I got from the creeper explosion. Some really weird stuff was going on in this world, I tell you. As I ambled around in confusion, I noticed a creeper in the water near the farms. This was a great opportunity to experiment some more. This time I would have to be careful. No explosions, please. I want to find out if there's a special drop from creepers. Knowing Cookie, who made the data pack, he'd never leave out creepers. He knows how much I love them. He'd make them extra special, or possibly lull me into a false sense of excitement and make them drop something like a dirt block. That was also very possible. Then another one appeared. 2 bites of the cherry, the explosive incendiary cherry. I thought I'd better keep using the sword, given the drop change with the baby zombie, and keep it as a control variable. Very carefully, I knocked the hearts out of them one by one with my slightly sharpened stick, and eventually, after much debacle and toing and froing, one of them fell. And something dropped. It looked blue. Could it be? It was blue shinies. Creepers dropped diamonds. Oh my goodness. This was a game changer. 2 diamonds from my creeper friend, but no gunpowder. As I was taking the second one out, I heard the faint growlings in the background of a decomposing child. I wasn't getting snuck up on again like I was last time, so I turned to take it on. It got a hitting on me, and I was down to 2.5 hearts. My hunger was also down, so I had to back off and eat some bread. I'm glad they're slower than the normal Eddies are in the normal game. Unfortunately, in moving to the juvenile undead, I'd given the injured creeper a chance to get out of the water. I hoped I'd hit it enough beforehand. Unfortunately, 1 crit was all it took. More shinies. From there, Eddie was toast, and he dropped more cobble. Now, I know that a diamond sword isn't traditionally the first thing you're meant to make, but I just had to. If creepers equaled diamonds, it actually meant they'd be easier to come by theoretically, so I figured it didn't matter, and a diamond sword would speed up the farming process, a little bit like a diamond pickaxe can speed up the mining process. I then went out to hunt. Sadly, it had turned daytime, so the pickings weren't as good, and a baby zombie distracted me from 2 more diamonds, so I took it out after the creeper exploded on me. Then, confusion hit. The baby zombie dropped stone, not cobble. I'd killed it with a sword, but it didn't drop cobble. My brain actually melted. What sorcery was this? It wasn't simple at all. It was an ever-growing puzzle. I took out another one. And again, stone. I'm stumped. It annoyed me enough to push me to shield up and smack down a skelly. And more confusion set in. It didn't drop iron ore. It was iron ingots. And then it hit me. They died when they were on fire. These guys were smelting the items. The block I put in front of the cleric's door made for a great villager trading module, so I switched out my 4 stacks of rotten flesh with him and I took the experience it gave too. That was another 8 emeralds. I also wondered why I was ignoring the broken nether portal just across the water. There was free loot there potentially, and good stuff too. So I got my feet wet and I swam across to the glowing platform. It was a mixed bag in the chest over there. Some obsidian, which would be useful for making an enchanting table, some iron nuggets, and a couple of gold silk touch tools, which would be handy if short-lived. I'll leave the cursed items. I could get XP from them with the grindstone, but my inventory was full at the minute. The next day, I bred the stick cows a bit more and noticed a cat stuck in the pen. That might be useful later. I was thinking creeper farm, but not yet. I had another plan. Because I think I noticed earlier on the other side of that village across the lake, there was a biome that could help me get up very high very easily and quickly. A jungle. As I was walking there, I noticed an interesting ravine that I might have to explore later, but I didn't want to get distracted now. The jungle was my target. I needed bamboo. But then, when I got there, my hope started to fade. It was tiny. I couldn't see any bamboo anywhere. Typical. But then I realised it'd all be fine because across the water there was another jungle, or maybe it was an extension of this one. This time it was massive, so it was time to get swimming again. As I bobbed towards the shore, I saw what I was looking for right in front of me, a long bamboo cane. If this was all I found, it would still be worth it. However, I also took some melons. That'll plant up at home, and some cocoa beans with some jungle wood too. Night fell and I bashed a few salmon as I swam by them just to check that they were sticky too, and found an absolute jungle of bamboo as I emerged from the water. My diamond sword was going to come in handy now. I took loads, way more than I was likely to ever plant in a bamboo field, but it was right there in front of me. I had to take it. I also tried to get myself some jungle saplings to be able to grow my own at home. I ended up with 1 and I got bored with that. I don't really like jungle wood anyway. I did, however, want to bash a few mobs. It was time to put that shiny sword to work. More diamonds dropped from the first creeper and I started to feel invincible. So I went on a bloodthirsty rampage and hit anything that was near me. Cows, pigs, grass, I just didn't care. I saw a group of hostiles and I thought I'd take them out too. My mistake was to try and take out a mouldy juvenile and a creeper at the same time, surrounded by grass. My swings took out the vegetation, but landed on the mobs far too few times to make a good enough dent. Then the inevitable happened. I got too close to the creeper and the explosion distracted me enough for the Eddie to get in one last hit. Life too was over. My treasure spread out across acres of jungle wildlands. I'm a greedy idiot with delusions of grandeur. And I respawned back in the village, of course, so I had to make my way all the way back there. And as I landed on that jungle shore, I knew I did not have a lot of time. The Avomance was going to have to function perfectly for the first time ever. I didn't hold out much hope. I wound myself through the unfamiliar looking undergrowth, looking for signs of my earlier passage. But I found it! It was right next to the bamboo field, so it was actually quite easy to get to. And I lost nothing. I will never doubt Avomance again. That's probably an error, but we won't talk about that. And it was as I picked up the last of my items that I noticed something unusual through the trees. Could this be one of the first brand new structures that the Dungeons and Taverns mod brings me? A jungle village, perhaps? I walked to it and found it was a tavern, which is the home of various villagers that are ready to trade with you, including a cartographer that theoretically has maps to the rarest structures in the game. I looted the nearby portal for some half-decent gold tools. I borrowed the gold block at the foot of the portal and went into the tavern to see what was there. It's a pretty complex structure with external buildings and a large central tavern area made out of jungle wood, bamboo and mud blocks. There were chests to loot, pots to break and take the contents from, although not the beetroot, who needs that anyway, and lots of little rooms that could be used for safety. The cartographer was upstairs and was already at expert level, but his explorer map wasn't visible yet. That's obviously later on. I'd have to come back with him another time. I got a nice haul of loot, but it was time to get back to the village. It was already day 10. On the way, I tripped over a witch, and I hadn't dispatched one of those yet, so I gave it a few bashes, it poisoned the hell out of me, and dropped a single redstone dust. I guess they're normal? We'll have to keep swinging to see. I got back to the village and realised it really was a pretty decent haul. Gold, jungle blocks, but most importantly, lots of bamboo. So the next morning, I cleared out a bit of space from out behind the village and started to create my own little bamboo field, a more concentrated one. I laid down over 2 full stacks of bamboo in a huge grid. The cane started to grow before I'd even planted them all down. It was going to have lots of bamboo for wood blocks, wood crafts, but also, most importantly, for scaffold. I just needed more string, which I could get from the coal ore. And once it was done, I looked upon my work, and the work was good. Surprisingly, we've actually managed to do loads more than I thought in a short space of time. We have, I think, unlocked a load more secrets of the game, like what drops what and how it can be manipulated. And we've also found a new structure and started a farm. Not too shabby. If I can get that mob farm built, we will have resources for days. Who needs mining anyway? It would make time for more adventuring later on. So let's end on a high. The sun is setting over the hills on day 11 of this Avolaria world, and I'll pick up right from where we left off when we come back for episode 3. Maybe consider subscribing if you haven't already so you don't miss it, and bash that like button if you've enjoyed the video. It's really appreciated, and I will look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.